Bobby Manning, Sherrod, Blakely here on the Garden Report. We hit on the Dennis Schroeder signing. Now we're talking about the game that happened inside here at Thomas and Mack. The Celtics.
Is there a game?
It was hard between the Ime Udoka interview that we did at halftime. Once that happened, or really once the Schroeder thing broke at opening tip-off, it was hard to watch anything that went on inside here. And the biggest reason for that is that as more veterans come in the door here, these young guys become less and less consequential. But one guy who is going to have a pretty straightforward path to minutes among this young cast is Aaron Nesmith, who struggled mightily in that first game. I believe he went 1 of 8 from 3. Today he hits his first 4, has 5 within the first quarter and a half, and finished with 6, I believe, in a 33-point effort. It was some of the best basketball we've ever seen Nesmith play, with the side steps, the step backs, creating his own shot off the dribble in the lane, and of course the spot-up shooting that you want out of him. There's times where he does, at this point in his career, look like the best shooter on the floor.
Yeah, I think what we saw today was what we probably would have seen at some point if there was a summer league last year, because people forget that, you know, those guys just basically were thrown into the water. I mean, they were baptism by fire, essentially. So Nesmith, I think, will have these type of games, not only in summer league, but also in the regular season. I think he has shown coming into the league the ability to knock down shots and knock down them in a flurry. But what I love about him is he still plays with a high level of energy. So even when he's not knocking down shots, you still feel his presence. And sometimes that's not a good thing. But more times than not, I think it will be a good thing for the Celtics. His ability to, again, be able to score. It's funny, his first miss was a dunk.
I've never seen a player get as mad at him or herself as he does when he makes mistakes. That's like a constant we've seen here.
And that kind of worries me a little bit with him, because, I mean, when the playoffs, you have to have – every play has to be out of sight, out of mind. You got to be able to move on. And I think over time he will get a better feel for that. But Aaron Nesmith, this was the Aaron Nesmith that the Celtics drafted. This is the guy that they are counting on to be another perimeter threat when you've got guys like Marcus Smart and Dennis Schroeder and, you know, Josh Richardson navigating the offense, and obviously Tatum and Brown as well.
Yeah, you need spacing, and there's a guy that shot 44% down the stretch of the year. In the playoffs, he was kind of fell off again. So there are these high leverage moments, these methodical moments in his game when he first comes into the league, into the postseason, into this first summer league game, where he does seem to overthink and play a little too methodical. And then once he gets some comfort, he goes off from 3 and becomes the shooter that they drafted him as. Bruno Fernando joined the team today. Big body, 6'9", not a great rim protector.
No, he's not.
But finishing was good.
He offensively loved everything about him. His activity, his ability to put it on the floor, attack guys off the dribble from that center position. You love all that. But damn, we got to get better around the rim. I mean, maybe this was just just first game jitters or something like that. But he was not known as a defender coming out of Maryland, and he certainly has proven himself to be, an average defender, if that, in the NBA. That is going to be I think is going to keep him on the bench or somewhere else more than anything else. Yeah. But you love what he does offensively, though. I mean, he really does give them a dimension that you love to have. But do you want to sacrifice so much defensively to have that?
You don't want him to play, because that'll mean something's wrong with Robert Williams or Al Horford down the line there. This is basically a depth guy. I'd rather even see Grant at center. I've liked some of the center Grant minutes that he's given them over the last 2 years at that position. And then you have Cantor here now too. So this is potentially a guy that could be a little bit expendable here, depending on how they squeeze in Schroeder here, or Yamadar possibly, even if they continue going that direction. So this, to me, feels like he's playing for his spot on the team a little bit, being out here, because otherwise, why is he going to make this late trip and arrive and all that kind of stuff? So
yeah, and that's important. So you know that he's going to more times than not play with a certain sense of urgency. And I thought when he stepped on the floor, that was very clear.
For sure. The defensive play calling, the yelling. What do you say? He just likes to yell stuff because it gets people going. It doesn't matter what it is.
What it is. And that's great to have that. But at some point, it comes back to your skill. It comes back to your talent. It comes back to your ability to impact the game, not just as a scorer, but at both ends of the floor. And, all players have some form of a shortcoming. He's no different than that. But when your shortcoming is as short as his is at the defensive end of the floor, that becomes very problematic when your head coach is talking about how defense is going to be our calling card again.
you see how important that center position is in defense. If you're not getting it there, the whole thing falls apart. And that's what we've seen with Cantor and other guys too. So Rob, Horford, they're really going to be the centerpieces at that center spot. At the wing, Romeo Langford, you would hope he'd be showing a few more strides at this point. Kind of another quiet, casual showing outside of the loud dunk. Probably the loudest moment of his career, that dunk that he caught going baseline off of Fernando. I don't know, just not getting a great sense that he feels the importance or the urgency of this moment. There's not a great urgency to Summer League, but he's here for a reason. He's got to show something, improve something to break into this rotation.
Yeah, he does. And the thing about Romeo is that he always, even when he, I think, is playing hard, has this very casual demeanor about him. And I think
like a Brandon Ingram.
Yeah, and it works to his disadvantage more times than not, because the perception is that he's not working hard, when I think he's working harder than people think. But to me, it always comes back to execution, presence, and impact. And execution was not where it needed to be. His presence was there, but not in the way that you'd want it to be. And he just has to be better. And that's what you're looking for in Summer League. You want guys to be better. We saw glimpses of Peyton Pritchard, who looks better. We've seen that from Nesmith. Romeo looks a lot like the Romeo we saw last year, except he's healthy enough so where his health is not an excuse.
Yeah. You want to see some growth here. You want to see some progression, and a separation is what I wrote about on Celtics blog the other day. In the first game, none of these guys really separated themselves from the pack. Now we've seen Nesmith do it. I think 2 games in, Pritchard's done it fairly well. He's got to become a better creator, but as a scorer and as a shooter, we're still seeing what made him special last year. So we'll continue to keep tabs on this. 2 more games, and then a playoff game or a consolation game or wherever it's going to be early next week for the Celtics.
The championship, Bobby. They could be playing for the championship.
They're 2-0 now. We'll be here all week. Sherrod, Blakely, Bobby Manning, CLNS Media, and Celtics All Access.